We've all done it, and we keep doing it. You come home after a long, endless day. You drop your bag by the door, and before you've even taken off your shoes, your dog comes trotting towards you. And there you are, coat still on, already talking to them. How was your day? Did you miss me? I'm sure you did. Yes, you did. No commands, no training session, just talking. Sometimes you catch yourself forming sentences so complete and clear, it's almost as if you're telling a story to another person. And sometimes you find yourself waiting for a real answer. But somewhere in the back of your mind, that quiet, skeptical voice whispers, "You're wasting your breath. They don't understand a thing." Far more wrong than you think. Because the neuroscientific research into how dogs process human speech points to one of the quietest yet most shattering discoveries ever made about the mental world of animals. And it doesn't just change how you understand your dog, it also invites you to see, with new eyes, the 15,000 years of shared history that brought you to this moment. Still in your coat, your dog looking up at you as if you just said the most important thing in the world. And, as it turns out, maybe you did. Let's start from where most people begin. Most people think something like this. Dogs just hear sounds, and they associate certain words with certain outcomes. The word walk means leash, sit means treat, no means stop. Classical conditioning, no different from Pavlov's dog salivating at the sound of a bell. Stimulus, response, reward, a simple mechanism. For decades, science agreed. Dogs were thought to be sophisticated pattern recognizers, good at reading tone and body language, capable of learning hundreds of words as labels, but the actual meaning carried inside human language was considered beyond their reach. Then, something changed. Researchers put dogs inside brain scanners, and everything was turned upside down. In 2016, at Eötvös-Loránd University in Budapest, neuroscientist Attila Andix and his team trained dogs to stay still inside an fMRI machine and played them recordings of their owners' voices. Their goal was to understand whether dogs process the content of words and tone separately, or whether they merge them into a single signal. The result was astonishing. In the dogs' brains, the left hemisphere, the same part used for language processing in humans, was activated for the meaning of words. The right hemisphere, associated with emotional processing, responded to tone and the melody of the voice. Two different brain regions working for two different pieces of information, just as they do in the human brain. But the truly surprising part was this. The dog's reward center, the part of the brain associated with genuine pleasure and positive experience, only fully activated when the words and the tone were together, in harmony. When praise words were delivered in a praising tone, the reward response was strong. But when the same words were spoken in a flat neutral tone, or when an irrelevant word was used, with a praising tone, the effect weakened. Your dog isn't just hearing your excitement, and isn't just recognizing the word. They're perceiving both at once and checking whether they match. And only when the content and the emotion align does their brain decide that this is truly something good. Think about it. Your dog understands what you mean, not as a vague feeling, but neurologically in their brain's reward circuitry. They can tell the difference between genuine praise and praise said out of habit. You cannot fool them with hollow enthusiasm. You cannot brush them off with empty reassurances. They're listening to all of it. Let's go even deeper, because the findings about hemispheric specialization from Andix's team are striking enough on their own. But they raise a question that no one had properly asked before. If dogs process words in their left hemisphere, how exactly do they understand those words? Not just patterns or sounds. Words. A research team at Emory University approached this question from a different angle. They specially trained a group of dogs known in the literature as gifted word learners to associate objects with their names. Then they placed them in brain scanners and presented them with objects whose names they knew, alongside objects they had never encountered before. And they noticed something. When dogs heard a familiar word and then saw the matching object, their brains were calm. Yes, correct, that's it. But when they heard a familiar word and were then presented with an unrelated object, brain activity increased in regions associated with surprise and expectation violation. In other words, dogs weren't just matching sounds to objects, they were forming mental representations. Expectations. A word pointed to a concept, and when the concept didn't match, the brain noticed. The dogs that showed the strongest responses weren't the ones who had learned the most words. They were the ones who had the most consistent experience of words matching reality. The experience of language being reliable, of what was said actually turning out to be true. Your dog doesn't just learn words. Your dog learns whether your words mean anything. There's something else that gets overlooked but deserves attention. The sound of your specific voice. Not human voices in general. Your voice. yours alone. A 2014 neuroimaging study showed that dogs' brains respond to emotional sounds, including human voices, in nearly the same brain regions that the human brain uses to process those same sounds. The same areas associated with processing emotion, social relevance, and personal meaning were activated. Not similar regions, the same ones. But the response wasn't the same for every voice. Compared to a stranger's voice, dogs' brains showed a far stronger response to the voice of a known, bonded person. Your voice, specifically, activates your dog's social brain in a way no other human voice can match. And this is where things become genuinely moving. Research into olfactory processing in dogs reveals an almost identical parallel finding. When dogs were presented with their owner's scent, alongside the scent of a familiar but non-bonded person and a stranger's scent, only the owner's scent activated the caudate nucleus, the brain's reward center, in the way that anticipation of real pleasure does. The owner's scent was literally sending the signal, something good is coming. Now put these two findings together. Your scent says, something good is on its way, and your voice says the good thing is here. And when you walk through the door, talking to your dog in that rhythm that belongs to you and no one else, their brain is receiving two of the most powerfully positive signals it can receive, simultaneously. In every conversation, you're doing something no training manual, no treat, no enrichment toy can replicate. You're becoming that one specific person whose presence your dog's entire nervous system has been calibrated to respond to. Now let's address something most dog owners do instinctively and honestly feel a little embarrassed about. That voice. You know the one. Higher in pitch, slower in delivery, melody exaggerated, the voice you'd never use in a meeting or on a phone call, but which appears automatically the moment your dog looks into your eyes. For years, this was seen as a slightly amusing human habit, talking to a dog like a baby, an exaggerated form of anthropomorphism. Then, someone actually tested it scientifically. Researchers at the University of York in 2017 investigated whether dog-directed speech, what they call DDS, had any different effect on dogs compared to normal speech. People were made to talk to dogs using dog-relevant words like walk, ball, and good boy in a typical dog voice. The results were clear. Dogs showed more attention and more engagement. The difference wasn't driven by the words alone. Separate tests showed words by themselves didn't produce this. The difference came from that specific style of speaking combined with meaningful content for the dog. What's more, even when recordings of this speech were played back without the speaker present, dogs still preferred orienting toward the dog-directed speech. In other words, the melody and rhythm of that voice were meaningful to them, independent of any other context. Your dog isn't just tolerating that voice, they are drawn to it. It activates something inside them that ordinary human speech simply cannot reach. And scientists believe this traces back to the very earliest days of domestication. The vocal register humans use for social bonding, for conveying closeness and trust, gradually became something dogs' brains developed a sensitivity to across thousands of generations. Not because humans taught them to, but because the dogs who responded to it survived, and that bond grew stronger with every generation. So that voice you feel a little silly about is actually a product of 15,000 years of evolution. There's another important dimension that almost no one talks about: prosodic sensitivity. Prosody is the music of speech. The rises and falls in pitch, the rhythm of syllables, the elongation of certain sounds. When you say your dog's name, you almost always stretch it out a little, lift the pitch slightly at the end, and give it a shape. This isn't a random habit, and it isn't something exclusive to humans. Research in comparative linguistics shows that dogs are remarkably sensitive to the prosodic features of speech, often more so than to the meaning of the words themselves. In other words, the melody of what you say frequently carries more information for your dog than the actual words do. This reveals a reality that surprises owners and, frankly, makes some of them a little uneasy. Because your emotional state automatically shapes your prosody, largely without your conscious control, and your dog is reading it with extraordinary precision. You cannot put on a calm tone for an anxious dog and expect them to believe it. The prosodic signature of suppressed stress is distinct from genuine calm, and your dog's auditory system is finely tuned to detect exactly that difference. A study at Linköping University in Sweden found that cortisol levels in dogs, measured from hair samples reflecting months of accumulated stress hormone, were synchronized with those of their owners. Stressed owner meant stressed dog. And when researchers examined the direction of this relationship, it was the owner's hormone levels that were predictive, not the dog's. So in every conversation you have with your dog, you're not just communicating, you are transmitting your inner world to them almost directly through your voice, and your dog adjusts their own nervous system accordingly. Every single day, you're not just talking, you're co-regulating each other. Without realizing it, you are bringing each other's neurobiology into a shared rhythm. Now let's put all of this into practice, because knowing that your dog processes your voice this way can fundamentally change your relationship with them. First, talk more than you think you need to. Not commands, not training. Just let your voice be present in the room as you go about daily life. Share what's on your mind. Make comments. Talk the way you would with a close friend. Research consistently shows that dogs in environments where the owner's voice is present in the background, not directed at them, not asking anything of them, simply there, display lower stress levels and greater engagement with their environment. Your voice, even in the background, sends the signal to your dog's nervous system. The important person is here, everything is fine, we are safe. Second, pay attention to your tone in difficult moments. When you're stressed, frustrated or anxious, your dog isn't just watching, they're picking up your internal state through the texture of your voice, prosodically, and adjusting their own emotional state in response. This doesn't mean performing a calm you don't feel, but in the moments when your dog most needs to settle, consciously slowing your speech, slightly lowering your pitch, and elongating your words creates a measurable calming effect in their nervous system. Not because they understand the words, but because they respond to exactly these auditory cues as safety signals. Third, use your dog's name with intention. Research shows that a dog's name recognition response is far more than simple acoustic pattern matching. It means, this is my name, the important person is addressing something to me. If you use their name constantly, casually, as background noise, the signal loses its weight. But when you say it deliberately, with a positive energy and a specific prosody, attention sharpens and the response becomes more lasting. Used correctly, your dog's name is the most powerful attention signal you have. There's one final finding I want to share, and it may be the most important of everything covered here. A 2020 study measured not just behavioral responses, but neurological variables in dog-owner pairs during extended natural conversations. Ordinary, sincere, warm conversations, no commands, no training, no rewards. And what they found was this. In both parties, heart rate variability, a marker of emotional regulation, became synchronized. Just as it does in human pairs, the dog's autonomic nervous system wasn't just reacting to the owner's voice, it was genuinely aligning with it. Two nervous systems from two different species entering a shared rhythm through the sound of one person talking to their dog. This is not sentiment, this is not anthropomorphism. This is the extraordinary harmony that 15,000 years of shared life, shared sleep, and shared sound has produced in the nervous systems of two species. When you talk to your dog, something real is happening, something measurable, something biological, something no other species on Earth shares with us in quite this way. So the next time you find yourself talking to your dog on the way to the kitchen, narrating your day or saying their name in that particular way that makes them look up at you, as if you just uttered the only word that matters, don't forget what is actually happening. Your dog isn't confused. They're not just being polite. They're not simply reacting to your tone and ignoring the rest. They are processing your words in their left hemisphere and your emotion in their right. They are instantly working out whether what you said and how you said it match. They are recognizing the unique acoustic signature of your voice, the one filed away in their brain as something good, something safe, this person, this is the one. And they are doing all of this simultaneously, in less than a second, with a brain that evolved to do exactly this, alongside a species that spoke to them, and meant it, long before the invention of writing, sharing a common heritage. Writing, sharing a common heritage. Your dog hears more than you think. They understand more than you know. And every time you open your mouth in their presence, you become part of something ancient, extraordinary, and entirely real. Talk to them, often, with warmth, as if it truly matters. Because to them, in their brains, in their hearts, in every cell of their being, it does. If this video deepened the bond you feel with your dog even a little, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment. I'm genuinely curious. What do you talk to your dog about most? But here's where it gets really interesting. In the next chapter, we're going to talk not about how your dog sees the world, but how they smell it. And this isn't just about detecting scents. Dogs may be able to rewind time through smell, and they might be living in a dimension we can never experience ourselves. And the most astonishing part? Even hours after you've left the house, your dog may still be sensing that you haven't really gone. Once you understand how that's possible, you will never look at them quite the same way again.